Hey everybody. So lately I've been seeing a lot of questions about navigation in Astroneer. Where's the map? How do I get around? That kind of stuff. And so I thought I'd throw together a little video talking about all the different ways you can navigate in Astroneer. So when you first started playing Astroneer, you probably noticed that it has a very clean aesthetic. Generally speaking, the only thing on the screen is your Astroneer and the environment. There is a user interface, but it's integrated into the game in such a way as to keep your screen free from clutter. The user interface includes three things: the backpack, this shows the inventory you have on your character; the catalog, this shows all the equipment you've unlocked, have yet to unlock, and the amount of bytes you have available to spend; and the escape menu. This includes the typical game stuff like control settings, game settings, and so on, but it also shows your player skin options as well as the Astropedia. But beyond the user interface and the Astropedia, the game doesn't really give you much of anything else, not even a map. Or does it? Well, it's true. There is no map in the game, at least not right now. And that's been one of the more common gripes the player community has been vocal about. However, that doesn't mean you can't navigate effectively. The game actually does give you an assortment of tools you can use to navigate, but to coincide with the game's overall philosophy of exploration and problem solving, you have to actively participate in the navigation process. When I first started playing and discovered these navigation methods on my own, it really blew my mind to realize how much the game actually does give you and how intelligently designed it is in requiring all of the problem solving of the player. In my opinion, a regular old map would cheapen the experience and would result in a less fulfilling gameplay experience. So I wanted to pass along my knowledge to any new players that are having trouble finding their way, so this is my guide to navigating in Astroneer. Beacons are something that you can make on the fly with your backpack printer using a single piece of unrefined quartz. What's great about these is that you can find quartz throughout several layers of the caves, making it easily accessible if you need to find some in a hurry. The beacons have two interesting features. One, you can colorize them by holding your mouse over them and tapping the F key. It cycles through a variety of colors, which allows you to develop your own color coding system. This comes in handy if you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for yourself, but also want to drop a beacon on an interesting discovery and have that beacon be distinct from your navigational beacons. And two, the beacons are visible from orbit. This especially comes in handy when you are, say, keeping track of the big purples you visited or landing sites you plan on visiting frequently. When you're on the surface, the beacons do have a distance at which they disappear over the horizon, so I like to periodically look back and check on my beacons, and drop a new one before the previous one disappears. This way I can travel back along my route by simply looking for the previous beacon. With your terrain tools stowed away, you can mouse over your Astroneer and a compass rose appears on the ground. It acts how you would expect a real compass rose to work, always pointing north. We can illustrate this by visiting the North Pole and circling around it. For your reference, there is a big purple at the North and South Poles, which we'll get to later. As you can see, the compass actively follows the Astroneer, remaining dialed in on that pole. Unfortunately, here's where they throw you a curveball. In real life, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. In Astroneer, however, the sun seems to rise in the west and sets in the east. This doesn't prevent you from using sunrise and sunset for navigation, you just have to keep that difference in mind when considering your direction of travel. Fortunately, the rotation of the planets is fast enough that you can actually see the sun traveling in the sky, making it easy to tell if the sun is rising or setting. Worth noting here is that Atrox orbits the Sun in retrograde relative to the other planets, but it still rotates on its axis in the same direction, making sunrise and sunset the same as the other planets. These weren't in early access, so this is actually a newer method of navigation. There are two primary features of the Big Purples when it comes to finding your way around the planet. The first one is that on all the main planets, there are 6 Big Purples. 4 of them are placed equidistant from each other around the equator, and 1 is at each pole. An easy way to tell if you're at a pole is to circle around the center of the Big Purple and see if your compass rose continually points to the center. If not, you are on the equator. The second is that the moons only have 2 Big Purples. They are both located on the equator. However, since there are only 2, it makes the Big Purples less helpful as a navigational tool on the moons. This is actually how I first discovered navigation in the game, but it seems to be the one that most people have difficulty working with. 1.0 has made it even harder to use this method because now there are far more clouds on the planets, and cloud cover is different planet to planet, so it's not going to be the easiest to use in all scenarios. Atrox, for example, is almost entirely covered in clouds, making this form of navigation practically impossible. If you look at the sky, you can see a concentrated band of stars, mimicking that of the Milky Way band from our own night sky. The planet's equator is aligned with this band, meaning if you see that the stars are straight up and down, you are on the equator. If the band is tilted in either direction, simply reveal the compass rose and look to see which pole you are closer to. For example, if the band is leaning to the right when you are looking east, that means you are in the northern hemisphere. Likewise, if the band is leaning to the left when you are looking east, that means you're in the southern hemisphere. If the band of stars is perfectly level with the horizon, then you are near one of the poles. So each of these features alone does not replace a map outright. However, if you learn how they work and how to effectively combine them, you should have no problems navigating on the planet's surface to find your way. I hope you found this guide to navigation useful. The Astroneer development roadmap on Trello does list cartography under the potential future updates category, so it is possible we might get a map at some point in the future, but nothing is guaranteed. So for the time being, it would benefit you to learn how to navigate with these tools the game already gives you. By the time you master these methods, the idea of needing a map in the first place may become obsolete. This isn't to say a map wouldn't have its uses, you just wouldn't need to use one to successfully navigate. Anyways, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button and be sure to drop a comment below. I love talking about this game and hearing your feedback. But for now, I hope you enjoyed and see you guys later.